back to Access Anime. I'm Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough and review of One Piece episode 572. Now, if you remember from last episode, we were introduced to two new characters, Baron Tamagu and Picom, and they're actually both members of the Big Mam Pirates. Now, they're actually on Fisherman Island to collect Big Mam's candy, which was 10 tons. Kind of interesting. And then they're going to a party in 4 days for her honor, I guess. Now, if you remember from last episode, at the end, we see Luffy talking to Big Mam on the phone, declaring he has business with her, and he wants Fisherman Island as his own territory. All I can say, about time. And again, Big Mam, just a little background, she's one of the 4 emperors. But that was last episode, and this is a new one, so let's just dive right in. Let's get started. And again, I'll keep my comment and my rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right in. Now, we open up this episode with the Minister of the Right, and he's talking to Brook, Usopp, Robin, Nami, Chopper, and Shirahoshi. And I guess he's giving, I believe it's Usopp, it's called kelp tea. That was kind of interesting. Now, Frankie, he's really not in the group, and we find out why Frankie's not with the group. He's trying to learn how to master his ship, Sunny, to get off the ground from Fisherman Island, to ascend. Because it's different, you know, because they were descending to get down, so now they have to ascend to get up. Because they have to have that special coating on their ship. So that's kind of interesting. So that's why we weren't seeing Frankie at all at the beginning of this episode. Now, that was the opening. Moving past that, we actually we're taken to the vicinity of the candy factory, where we see Caribou. I thought we were pretty much done with that loser. Nah, that rookie pirate, nah, he's awake, and he notices his treasure is gone, and he's like laughing. I was like, he was laughing hysterically, kind of. It's like, it's okay, I swallowed some of the treasure. I was like, what? But remember, he's a devil fruit user, so he just goes inside of his stomach, and he's looking around for that treasure. Yeah, it's not there. Someone stole the treasure that was inside of him. Thought it was hilarious. Now, moving on. Now, this next part is kind of important. One of my favorite parts in this episode. We see Jinbei talking to King Neptune, and he's talking about how the Sun Pirates had allied themselves with Big Mam. So that was kind of interesting. So at this present time, Jinbei, as well as the Sun Pirates, since he's their leader, they're allied with Big Mam. So that's kind of interesting. Now, again, Jinbei, he sided with Big Mam, so because she was one of the 4 emperors. That's the only reason, because now that Whitebeard's out of the picture, they need someone that's going to protect Fisherman Island in general. Now, Jinbei thinks of, well, he wants to lead Big Mam in general, because he wants to join the Straw Hat crew. That's what I wanted to hear. Smiling. See? Smiling. I was waiting for him to say yes, but he didn't say that directly to Luffy, though. He said this to King Neptune, so it's not really official. And he says he wants to lead Big Mam as well as his Sun Pirates, so it's kind of interesting. Now, I don't know if the Sun Pirates, that whole crew is going to ally themselves with the Straw Hats. Now, we also see a small little off to the side of this conversation, we see King Neptune talking about the Straw Hat crew's Jolly Roger, and their Jolly Roger is the flag, their pirate flag, and he's like, yeah, I can't wait to put that up, get rid of the Big Mam Pirates crew's flag. So I thought that was funny. So now we know King Neptune's all for it, and Jinbei's all for it, so that's kind of interesting. That was my favorite part in general through this episode. Now, here's the plan. King Neptune, he's welcomed in 70,000 new soldiers from the Fisherman District. That's why he was okay with Jinbei siding with Luffy, because he thinks Jinbei is being so hard on himself for not joining Luffy. He's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. We have a plan. We have 70,000 new fishermen from the district. So we're ready. We're armed. We got new soldiers. They all joined in. So Jinbei is covered. And again, they're talking about the Straw Hat crew's Jolly Roger. So I thought that was kind of interesting. They want to put it up and get rid of the Big Man Pirate Crew one. So like, I wish they would have said this like last episode. This would have been perfect, because that was the build-up after Luffy says he wants Fisherman Island. But sorry, I digress. Moving on to the next scene. Now, apparently the Minister of the Right is a little freaked out. He jumps in, he's like talking to King Neptune, and it's about the treasure that the Straw Hats have now, which they really don't, if you remember correctly. And he's saying he rigged the boxes, the tempeh boxes, which had all those steroid pills. Again, 10 years ago, they were robbed, so all these boxes are empty, and he put explosive traps inside of them. So he's trying to plead with King Neptune, you gotta get them back, and King Neptune was like, I'm not gonna take back that treasure. But when he finds out, oh crap, they're explosives, he's like, yeah, we're gonna have to get them back, or at least tell them about it. So that's kind of interesting. So apparently, what Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy had inside of all that treasure, whatever the tempeh boxes were at that they had, have explosives inside of them. Now remember last episode, I wasn't sure if he handed off all that treasure to the Big Mams, the two pirates that are on the island, Tamagu and Picam. Well, in this episode we find out they took the treasure from Luffy and everyone else. So they actually have the explosives. So this just got a lot more better. Not only is Luffy going to be fighting Big Mom in the upcoming episodes, but now at the tea party that this party that Big Mom's going to have in a few days, she has trapped treasure. So these boxes, these treasure boxes, the tempeh boxes, explosives. So this is getting sweet. That's all I can say. This is working out so much in Luffy's favor. But sorry, moving on to the next scene, we actually see Luffy. We find out he gave the treasure to Big Mom, but I guess Nami was very, very pissed. That's all I can say, because you see Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro coming back, and there's like, yeah, we don't have the treasure, we gave it to them. Yeah, she beat the crap out of Luffy. Luffy's like, I'm ready to go to the new world. He's like all smashed. But again, that was an hilarious part. I like that so much. Now we get to a good fighting scene where we see the candy factory, and we see Caribou again entering the scene, and he's about to fight Picam and Tamagu, because he's like, that's my treasure. But he doesn't know it's been booby-trapped or anything. And he goes in head first, and Picam, guy's pretty damn strong. I didn't see this coming. I thought that little line, that cat was like not that strong, but he's a devil fruit user. That was pretty obvious. But see, Caribou, he pulls out a move that reminds me of Luffy. He's got a Gatling gun as well, except his is an actual Gatling gun, not with his hands. Pops out of his chest. It's like, what? I didn't see that coming. He's like cranking it, but it's, doesn't really do anything. Apparently, Picam changes his form into a turtle to protect himself, so that was kind of interesting. So he's in a shell. And then Caribou, again, what was he doing? He pulls out a scythe? I was like, what? How many powers does this guy have? This guy amazes me, even though he's really weak. He would have been a great add-on as an ally for the Straw Hats. Even though he's a bad guy, still, his powers kind of come in handy. But that really didn't work. Picam beats the crap out of him, and so Caribou ends up losing, so that was kind of interesting. Now we find out Picam is worth 330 million berries. That's how much Picam's worth. And again, Caribou's like under 200,000 berries. So that was actually kind of interesting. Now, we also find out, we're taken to a small scene, we see Frankie, he's on the Sunny, and we see the royal family and the rest of the Straw Hat crew heading down head first to them. And I'm not sure if King Neptune informed Luffy or the crew about the tempeh boxes being trapped that Big Mom is going to be having soon. Big Ma'am. So I don't think he told them just yet. But again, they're all heading toward, Frankie and toward the Sunny, so they're getting ready to head out. So we're about done with the Fisherman arc. I'm assuming we're about done. It's finally drove its course. Now we're taken to a different scene. Now this is up above. We're taken to the Red Line in the New World. Yeah, the Navy ships are everywhere, and you see all these pirate ships coming up out of the ground, and the Navy's just shooting them away, but there's just too many of them. Now these pirate ships were from Fisherman Island, all those humans being held captive. So it was kind of interesting. Now, the Navy, it's called G5. They're actually the ones attacking all the random pirate ships. And we see the Navy Grand Line 5th Branch is what they're called. And we see Captain Tashigi. I was like, oh, it's been a while since I've seen her. And then, yeah, we see Smoker, and now it's Vice Admiral. Wow. So I guess during that little, couple of years, all that little time gap, they've advanced themselves. Now, these guys, G5, just putting it out there, they're outlaws. They are the pit of the Navy, which means they can do whatever they want to an extent. They're outlaws. They don't do anything by the book. That's how Smoker rolls. So it's kind of cool. Now, Smoker was able to, Smoker and Tashigi were able to take a few captives from the pirate crews that were popping up. And they managed to get some type of info from one of the pirates, even though these pirates, they just escaped from Fisherman Island thanks to the Straw Hat crew, and they weren't about to give them up. But again, Smoker ends up finding out the Straw Hat crew, yeah, they're down at the Fisherman Island, and they were part of the Civil War that went on. And the words that came out of Smoker's mouth, I was so puzzled. He said, "He knows." And I was like, huh? How do you know? You weren't down there. Was there a leak, a snail communicator? Oh, we don't know. But again, that's where we end the episode at. Final thoughts? How did Smoker know? Well, we don't know. How did you know, Smoker? You got a spy? Huh? You in league with Big Man, maybe? We don't know. Now, as for Luffy taking Fisherman Island territory from Big Ma'am, I can't wait to see the end results. And I can't wait to see the Straw Hat Crew's Jolly Roger replacing Big Ma'am's Pirate Jolly Roger in Fisherman Island. Looking forward to that. Now, as for Picam and Tamagu, we don't really know Tamagu's real power. We just know that Picam is a devil fruit user, and he's pretty damn strong. So I'm interested to see, are we going to see more battles with them? Who are they going to be fighting among the Straw Hat crew? Manga-wise, yeah, we know. Anime-wise, I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to be. Well, of course, how it's going to be animated, but how it's going to end up as well. But I'll throw out one more final thought. I'm curious to see, is Robin in general going to tell the rest of the crew about what she's found out from King Neptune about Joy Boy and whatnot? Just putting that out there about what she knows about all the ancient weapons, being 3 of them and all. That ends it for my final thoughts. For my rating, okay, we got information. Information was key in this episode. But again, hearing Luffy brag slightly about, well, not brag, but tell Big Ma'am off was well worth watching. And then seeing Jinbei and King Neptune talking about joining the Straw Hats, well, Jinbei joining, and then King Neptune putting the Straw Hat Crew's Jolly Roger up, that was well worth it. Now the battle, a little fight between Caribou and Picam, not the best. It could have been drawn out, but So I'm gonna have to give this episode a 4 out of 5. I feel so comfortable giving it a 4 out of 5, so 4 out of 5. But again, that ends it for my walkthrough and review of One Piece episode 572. Now I've got 2 more walkthroughs and reviews to do tomorrow, so stay tuned for tomorrow. But that ends it for now, and before I go, I gotta say it, can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.